After forcing the second female lead, who likes the male protagonist, Makoto, to marry me. Whenever something doesn't go my way, I just forcefully ride the horse, I said. Every time Makoto disgusts me, I'll deal with you, got it, now. Call him. Put him on speakerphone. Willow stared at me with a mixture of shame and anger, her voice hoarse as she said, George, you'll regret this. I didn't take her seriously. Later, Makoto provoked me far too many times. I couldn't take it anymore and started avoiding her. Unexpectedly, I overheard Willow say to the male protagonist, my husband's been a bit distant lately. Could you go in front of him again and provoke him a bit? Chapter 1. The night before the engagement, my fiancée received a farewell letter. It was left by the stand-in, who was 6 parts like me, whom she had been seeing behind my back. She panicked and flew abroad to find him, because the bride was absent. I was humiliated at the engagement party and became the laughingstock. This was all told to me by the mysterious bullet screen that suddenly appeared in front of me. I didn't believe in it and called her several times, only to receive a text message saying the engagement party would be postponed. I was greatly shocked. The bullet screen continued to provide comments. Why doesn't Sophia just cancel the engagement and go look for Makoto? Another comment followed. Because although she's fallen for Makoto, she still can't let go of George, her first love. She regrets it for the rest of her life after watching Makoto marry Willow. One comment replied, come on, this female lead is just a pretentious coquette. Willow is 100 times better than her dot. Seeing Willow's name, I was stunned. Does this bullet screen mean that the woman I couldn't win over liked my stand-in, Makoto? Unbelievable. Willow, the second female lead, was the one I pursued for months in the UK without success. I had once dated all kinds of women, soft, cold, abstinent, tsundere, lively, and sexy, but only Willow seemed to have all those traits in harmony. When she rejected me, it was polite but distant. When she fed stray cats, accompanied by the soft evening sunlight, a gentle smile graced her lips. She was like a fog, drawing travelers to uncover her mysteries. Not only was she beautiful on the outside, so when the bullet screen said she liked my stand-in, I lost control. I immediately called her, and she picked up in 1 second. Angrily, I asked, what's your relationship with Makoto? The bullet screen reacted, what's going on here? How come the male protagonist's existence is already known in the first love? Oh no, is he going to cause trouble? I laughed. You guessed right, little bro. You'll see some action soon. Willow stayed silent for a while, and then her clear and pleasant voice came through the phone. She said, Makoto once saved me. So you like whoever saves you? Why don't you like the doctor who cured your illness? I cursed inwardly but only cleared my throat and said, my fiancée is having an affair with your savior, Makoto, and now she's left me to find him. What should I do? The bullet screen paused for 2 seconds, then exploded with comments. One comment said, the first love knows now. He's definitely going to cause trouble with the male lead. Another said, what kind of first love is this? Bitter and high above. Just log off and go get your boxed meal. Some comments replied, but actually, the first love is the victim here, right? Another said, agreed. The first love didn't do anything wrong. After a moment of silence, I heard Willow ask, so what do you want? I smiled and said, my fiancée is gone, so you need to replace her. If I lose face, the consequences will be severe. The bullet screen commented, when did you two even meet? George is hilarious. This is the official pairing of the male lead. When will it be your turn? One comment said, he's just blatantly using the male lead to threaten the second female lead. So low. If the second female lead agrees, I'll eat a pound of shit live. The next second, Willow replied, okay. The bullet screen reacted, I can't open my eyes. I hope this is just a hallucination. Where's the one who said they'd eat shit? They're probably off to get some fresh ingredients now. I'm already set to record the screen. Chapter 2. To avoid trouble, I decided to act first and report later, dragging Willow with me to register for marriage. Luckily, after I took over the Wong family business, it successfully transformed, turning things around and growing rapidly. Since businessmen focus on profit, the Liu family didn't lose out either, so they agreed to the marriage alliance. Instead, both our families used this as a reason to hold the Kim family accountable, at least extracting some benefit from them. The wheel of fortune turns. On our wedding night, Sophia called me dozens of times. Through the screen, I could feel her frantic and desperate tone. As soon as I answered, I heard her dissatisfied voice questioning me. George, I didn't say to cancel the engagement. Why did you take matters into your own hands? I was a bit confused. I said, you went to meet your lover the night before the engagement. You must love him deeply and can't marry anyone else. Am I wrong for supporting you too? She choked, and with a haughty tone, she said, why are you so petty? He's just your stand-in. Okay, I won't call off the engagement. Wait for me to come back, and I'll talk to you then. I raised an eyebrow. It seemed she hadn't recognized the situation yet. I laughed. Sophia, who do you think you are to make me wait? You were just chosen as my marriage partner. Do you seriously think I love you to the point of begging you to marry me? Go get your hysteria treated. She was enraged and shouted. George. I hung up the phone. The bullet screen exploded with comments. Honestly, George really spoke his mind. Sitting at the table but eyeing the pot. What a vile creature. Another comment said. Wait, so George gets a pass here? You're all okay with him targeting the male lead later? One bullet screen replied. Upstairs. The first love hasn't done anything yet. From his perspective, a stand-in suddenly appeared and stole his fiancée. Who could tolerate that? If not for the bullet screen, I wouldn't have known that I was Sophia's first love. Someone she secretly admired for years. After I went abroad for my studies, she accepted a pursuit from a man who resembled me somewhat. It turned out that the stand-in, who was initially just a placeholder to fill the gap, eventually made her fall for him. From then on, their love and hatred became intertwined, never-ending. Did she consider me just a part of the game? As a second-generation rich heir, I had money, power, and had dated countless beautiful women. I didn't even have much impression of Sophia. I only chose her as a marriage partner because our families were of equal standing. Did she really think she was irreplaceable? I raised my eyes, and Willow had already entered the room. She had just finished showering, wearing a light pink silk bathrobe, the tie at her waist accentuating her slender waist. Her perfect figure and elegant movements exuded a casual yet regal charm. No wonder I picked her. She was stunning. But Willow seemed too lazy to even look at me. She pursed her lips and said, It's getting late. I'll sleep in the guest room. I was speechless. She says this now, when I'm about to take off my pants. As I called out to her, her phone rang. As expected, it was Makoto calling. The bullet screen went wild. The comments flooded in. So George forced the second female lead to marry him, but she'll still stay loyal to the male lead. Some people disagreed, really, because from where I'm standing, the second female lead is coming on strong while pretending to resist. Hey, give us something for adults to watch. George, I've never cursed you. Please give me some fan service. Just treat it like feeding the chickens. Cluck cluck. I was speechless. Chapter 3. Looking down, I couldn't help but feel excited. This was getting interesting. Willow paused for a moment, then quickened her pace. I got off the bed and blocked her at the door, casually locking it behind me. She instinctively stepped back, only to be pushed down onto the soft rug-covered floor. As the soft sound of her gasp filled the air, she widened her eyes in disbelief, her gaze shifting nervously. George, no. I moved my hands and smiled. The bullet screen was right. This really was a case of resistance with desire. She said no, but her body was being very honest. I asked. Not going to answer. Makoto had already called several times, unwilling to give up. I'm getting on the horse to fight. I slid the screen to answer the call. An anxious and clear voice came through. Willow, where are you right now? Is it true? Did George force you to marry him? You don't need to go this far for me. I feel guilty. The bullet screen erupted. Ah, damn George. How dare he stain the second female lead in front of the male lead? I'm blushing just watching this. Another comment appeared. If the second female lead likes the male lead so much, why is she holding onto George so tightly? Makoto's incessant calls finally caught on to the situation. He must have realized something was wrong. The phone's microphone picked up Willow's soft breaths. Makoto stayed silent for a while, his voice trembling as he asked, Willow, are you sick? I raised an eyebrow, feeling great as I watched Willow glare at me. I took the phone and responded to Makoto. If you weren't so dumb, you'd guess what we're up to. Makoto's voice cut off abruptly. I hung up the phone. As I continued my actions, I warned Willow. Every time Makoto disgusts me, I'll deal with you. Got it? She gasped, her voice trembling. George, you'll regret this. I sneered. Try me. The entire night, we fought one battle after another. From the floor to the bed, from the sofa to the floor-to-ceiling window, our presence lingered everywhere. The bullet screen was going crazy. One comment said, so the one night 7 times trope is real. Another asked, damn it, can you see this? Mine is blacked out. Someone replied, can't see, but imagination is the greatest gift to mankind. Chapter 4. After that, whenever I wasn't happy, I vented my frustration on her. When Sophia tangled with me, I bought Willow a collar. When Makoto provoked me, I bought Willow a waist chain. When the bullet screen cursed me, I rode the horse and made their screen go black. Seeing their helpless expressions, I felt utterly satisfied. A month later, there was a charity auction. Willow and I attended together. By chance, we ran into Sophia and Makoto. Makoto said, Willow. As Makoto worriedly opened his mouth, Sophia immediately possessively hooked her arm around his. but her gaze was fixed firmly on me. They were deliberately showing off their affection. Sophia proudly said, "George, you should thank me for helping me realize my true feelings. My past feelings for you were just an illusion. What's so great about you? You're just an ordinary man with too much confidence." Oh, the little slut's getting desperate. I honestly wanted to act, but instead, I simply twisted my wrist. Willow immediately blushed and looked at me with a bit of grievance. "Let's wait until we get home." Okay. The atmosphere instantly quieted. Meanwhile, the bullet screen exploded. The comments flooded in. "What have you done to our proud and reserved second female lead?" One comment said, "Ah, poor second female lead, tortured like this. Will we ever see her rise?" Another replied, "Are you sure? I see her saying no, but she hasn't stopped wearing uniforms." Someone wrote, "Is it possible that the second female lead actually likes this? Maybe George just triggered her true nature." Really? I couldn't help but look at her with some suspicion. Sophia's expression almost cracked. Makoto, in disbelief, said, "Willow, what did you say?" Willow tucked her hair behind her ear, and once again assumed her cold, distant demeanor, saying, "It's none of your business, Mr. Ito. Please behave yourself." Makoto must have imagined something. His eyes seemed on the verge of tears. He sighed and said, "I've caused you so much trouble, Willow." Seeing Makoto care so much about another woman, Sophia's expression changed instantly. She shot Willow a venomous glance and forcefully dragged Makoto away. I was in a good mood and laughed. "You've learned your lesson." Out of the corner of my eye, I saw Willow lightly smile. When I looked again, she had returned to her cold, aloof expression. I must have been seeing things due to the overwhelming comments. Chapter 5. After the auction started. No matter what I set my sights on, Sophia would have Makoto bid against me. When I glanced over, Sophia shot me a disdainful eye roll, then snuggled up to Makoto and playfully said, "Makoto, you're buying me such expensive things. You're such a great boyfriend. A man as generous as you can get anything, whether it's jewelry or women." Makoto gave a slight smile, not forgetting to provoke me with a glance. I was speechless. Who exactly is picking up this cheap crap? The trash heap. The bullet screen kept shipping the male and female leads, calling them sweet. Only I, deeply disgusted, couldn't help but take a deep breath. Turning my head, I found Willow's deep gaze fixed on me. It made me even angrier. I furrowed my brows and said, "What are you looking at? You'll pay for it tonight." Willow was speechless. The bullet screen exploded. "Damn George, what does he do besides torment the second female lead?" One comment read, "The second female lead must be thinking, I didn't provoke you." Another comment said, "The second female lead should blame the male and female leads for being petty." I was just watching and got so frustrated. As I watched the flood of dirty tricks on the bullet screen, the anger in my chest morphed into something else, burning and clouding my mind. "Since you guys love bidding so much, I'll just help you raise the price." After bidding several times for some useless, decorative items at high prices, Sophia finally realized what I was up to. She stared at me, practically burning holes into my back. Soon, we reached the final lot, which was my real goal for today. Looking at the jade fish dragon pendant in the transparent display case, I knew I had to have it. As expected, the moment I raised my bidding paddle, Makoto, urged by Sophia, did the same. However, his face turned pale, and his hand trembled slightly, showing clear hesitation. It seemed that Makoto was starting to back out. He said, "Sophia, maybe we should let this one go." But Sophia was relentless, pushing him to keep bidding. After several rounds, Makoto finally couldn't hold back and muttered, "Sophia, I really don't have that much money left." Sophia immediately frowned, shooting him a cold look, and said, "What's the use of you? So stingy. I don't need you. I'll buy it for myself." "All right." With that, she snatched the paddle from his hand and raised the price against me, her tone full of rivalry. Makoto was stunned, but quickly smiled awkwardly and said, "Sophia, please don't be mad. Just bid. I'll definitely buy it for you." I sneered, just about to raise the price again, but Willow stopped me. The next moment, Willow raised her own paddle, and the price shot up to 50 million. I was momentarily stunned. Sophia's expression darkened, but she didn't dare continue. In the end, the pendant was sold for 50 million. Makoto's eyes flashed with a hint of sadness before he was dragged away by the upset Sophia. It dawned on me, and I asked, "You stopped me so you could buy it for Makoto, right?" Willow stared at me with steady eyes and, biting her lip, replied, "For you." At this moment, both I and the bullet screen were utterly shocked. What? I must have been so stunned, because Willow shot me a proud eye roll and said, "TCH, don't get ahead of yourself. I just wanted to buy some peace and quiet, so you wouldn't find new ways to torment me." Nice. I love taming someone like her, full of thorns. The bullet screen commented, "LMAO, you better be telling the truth." Another comment said, Looks like I scared myself. I knew the second female lead was afraid the first love would cause trouble for the male lead. Turns out, she still hates George. Another comment replied, "Are you crazy? Hating George and spending money on him. Do you know how unlucky it is to spend money on a man for a lifetime?" Another comment read, "They must absolutely hate each other now." One more comment said, "That's right, the more they did it, the more they hated each other. The more they hated, the more they did it. Until it got wild, fierce, mindless, and desperate. I think the bullet screen is overthinking. Willow's just scared of me from the way I forced her. After all, I really do play in a twisted way." Heh. Chapter 6. When I got home, I took the pendant in my hands and spun it back and forth, almost unable to put it down. While I was grinning like a fool, staring at the pendant, I noticed Willow had silently appeared behind me. She startled me. She had probably just gotten out of the shower, her long hair still slightly damp, falling over her shoulders. Perhaps realizing I was about to strip her of everything, she had discarded her nightgown and sleepwear, now only wrapped in a towel. On her fair skin, there were still red marks left from the ropes I used yesterday. Willow stood at the door, her arms crossed over her chest. Her bright eyes were filled with wariness. She pursed her lips and, in a low voice, said, "It's late. I have work tomorrow." I smiled and replied, "Since you behaved today, I'll give you a pass this time. Go sleep in the guest room." The chat comments started to appear. I don't know why, but I feel somewhat moved. George is finally acting like a human. Another comment said, "What are you doing there? Run before he changes his mind." But Willow, instead of leaving, furrowed her brows and stared at me for a long time. With a huff, she said, "Is this another one of those obedience tests?" I was left speechless. She continued, "If I leave now, who knows what else you'd come up with to torture me?" I was in shock. I replied, "Willow, are you sick?" She crossed the space between us, sat on my lap, and said, "Let's get this over with. I have to wake up early tomorrow." I frowned. Wait a second. The chat comments couldn't keep up. Seriously, I don't have time to watch them fight. Are they messing with us? I've never seen anyone so eager to be manipulated. I don't believe it. She must be forced. The comments passed by quickly, unexpectedly. Willow surrendered without reservation. The night went on, and she didn't want to stop. I, exhausted, said, "Enough already. Don't you have to wake up early?" Sweat gleamed on her face as it slid down her cheek. In a coquettish and slightly disdainful voice, she replied, "Is that all you know how to do, George?" "Fine." I turned her on top of me and grabbed her waist. While breathing heavily, I said firmly, "Well, tomorrow, you better not leave the house." That night, I set an alarm for 9 a.m. I struggled to open my eyes in the morning, and when I looked around, no one was beside me. I was speechless. Chapter 7. I admit I was already exhausted. I decided to go home to rest for a bit. My brother, seeing how tired I was, laughed. He asked, "How's married life?" I, with my eyes vacant, collapsed onto the couch. I responded with no energy. I don't have a single drop of energy left. After a while of joking, the conversation shifted to Sophia and Makoto. My brother commented, "Turns out, at the auction, Makoto was tricked like a fool." The Ito family found out and went to the Kim family to complain. There was a big fight. The Kim family is furious and told Sophia to break up with him and find a new marriage candidate. It depends on what she chooses, because the Kim family actually has an illegitimate son. I looked at the comments criticizing me and, with indifference, replied, "Whoever sows the wind reaps the whirlwind. Who are they going to blame now?" My brother sighed. "Good thing you always have good luck." It was true. Since I was young, I had always had good luck. My parents loved each other, and our family was well off. I also had a brother who always worried about me. After returning to the country, I opened a few restaurants, hotels, and bars, all with good earnings. In the end, I managed to save the Wong family from falling. Even when I saw the comments before the engagement, somehow it felt like destiny was helping me. So, I was quite happy with my situation. But for some people, the situation was different. When I went to the hotel to check some details with the new manager, Makoto suddenly appeared. He said, "George, I want to talk to you." He seemed exhausted lately, looking much more haggard. I replied, "I don't think we have anything to talk about." Makoto, with an angry expression, said, "Of course we do. Willow married you for me. I can't just stand by and watch her sink." His expression was that of someone who had endured humiliation. He gritted his teeth and said, "Divorce her. I'll return Sophia to you." I was speechless. The chat comments started, "Oh, poor protagonist. How can he stand so much? Wow. The heroine is trapped in a marriage of obligation, frustrated, and is taking it out on the protagonist. The protagonist must be really disappointed. If George hadn't insisted on breaking off the engagement, none of this would have happened." Another comment countered, Do they all have to pave the way for themselves just because they're the protagonists? Does George have to be another pawn in their game? They chose this path. Don't come blaming others. I realized that Makoto had come to see me out of disappointment with Sophia. I felt disgusted. I said, "Am I a trash can? Are you going to throw all your leftovers at me?" Makoto, in disbelief, said, "How can you say that?" I saw he wasn't going to change his mind, so I decided to use my cruelest tone. I said, "If you really care about Willow, then disappear from my sight. If not, for every time you disgust me, I'll do the same to Willow in bed." Makoto stepped back, his eyes wide open, and shouted, "George, don't you have a heart? Do you know Willow had severe depression? If I hadn't saved her by the river, she would have already committed suicide. I can't believe you're so evil. I warn you, George, I'll protect her. I won't let her stay with you." With fury, he left. I stood there watching his back, thinking for a moment, did Willow have depression? Chapter 8. I had barely been home for a couple of days when I received a call from Willow. She asked, "My grandfather is turning 70 tomorrow. Are you coming?" There was a hint of barely noticeable hope in her otherwise distant tone. I chuckled. "Of course, I'm not that rude." Willow replied softly, "All right." The comments in the chat read, "If George doesn't go back, Willow is going to be frantic. She's so absent-minded, she can't even sleep properly. Laughing so hard." At 2 a.m., hugging the big orange cat George gave her, crying. I'm curious what's written in that password-protected notebook. I ignored the comments from the shippers. After all, even unrelated people can be paired together by fans. Willow and I were just a plastic marriage, nothing more. The next day, at the family banquet, I smiled and toasted to old Lou. He was in great spirits, his body still strong. He happily said, "At my age, to see my granddaughter marry into a good family, I have no regrets. But you two are getting older, and you should start thinking about children soon." Willow, holding my arm, lowered her head and whispered, "I'd like to spend a few more years enjoying our time together as a couple. We're not in a hurry to have children." Old Lou paused and then quickly agreed. "No rush. It's more important that you two enjoy your life together." But Lou's father seemed displeased. He said, "A woman's worth is determined by her children. It's proper to have heirs while you're still young." "George, I'm saying this for your own good. Do you understand?" Willow's lips tightened, and her fingers instinctively curled. I gently patted her hand and turned to Lou's father, saying, "I believe having a child means taking full responsibility for raising them into adulthood, not just thinking about our own enjoyment and neglecting them. So, we'll carefully consider the decision before we have children." His face darkened, and he gritted his teeth. "What do you mean by that?" Lou's mother, sitting beside him, seemed about to say something, but upon seeing the situation, immediately fell silent. She didn't even dare to look me in the eye, as though pleading, "Don't scold me." The atmosphere grew awkwardly quiet. It was old Lou who changed the subject and moved on. Throughout the banquet, two sets of eyes kept focusing on me. I asked Willow, "What are you staring at me for? Is there rice on my face?" She smiled faintly and whispered, "Thank you for standing up for me." Chapter 9. What do you mean by standing up for me? The real drama comes later. After dinner, the other person whose gaze had been fixed on me during the banquet found me in the backyard. With a cold snort, she said, "What's all this acting? You regret marrying Willow, don't you?" I turned around and saw her. She was attractive, but a complete idiot. Otherwise, old Lou wouldn't have agreed to the marriage between Willow and me, nor would he have chosen her to inherit the Lou family's business. As for Lou's father, he had been the loser in the last power struggle and had hoped to turn things around with the next generation. However, after marrying Lou's mother and having a daughter, he gave up, and the two of them led separate lives, each with their own lovers. Seeing that Willow wasn't treated well, anyone could bully her, especially her cousin, Maria. The power struggles in wealthy families were constant, and people like me, with a happy and normal family, were rare exceptions. It wasn't until a few days ago that I discovered Willow had grown up in such a difficult environment. No love from her father or mother. No wonder she ended up with depression. Maria had once suggested that I should marry her, but I rejected her outright. Her pride made her likely resent me for it, so I easily led her to the viewing pond. Maria continued, "George, what did you call me here for?" she said. "Honestly, I know already. Willow is like a hen that can't lay eggs. So you..." Before she could finish her sentence, I kicked her into the pond. I laughed. "Now you know why I called you here, right?" Maria floundered in the water, too afraid to shout and attract attention, so she could only curse quietly while drinking water. "George, are you crazy? Did I do something to offend you?" I looked down at her. "Offending my wife means offending me. You can throw a tantrum once, but next time, it won't be just drinking water. I hope you think carefully." I turned around, and Willow was standing right behind me. Her dark, glistening eyes held a faint light, locked onto me. I felt a little guilty, and immediately began spinning the story. What are you looking at? Didn't you see your cousin trying to mess with me? I didn't touch her at all. Now go away. She smiled faintly and said, I can testify. I quickened my pace and started walking ahead. All right, let's go back. Willow hurried to catch up and linked her arm with mine. She leaned against me, laughing softly. So you came here for this? I replied. Is that a problem? She didn't respond for a long time. She slightly turned her face away, and from this angle, I could only see the graceful line of her profile. The chat comments read, "Oh no, the second female lead's eyes are red. If someone stood up for me like this, I'd cry too. This is true love. I used to be on the male lead's side, but now, sigh. I bet 5 cents they're really in love. I bet the female lead's life, they're 100% true love. Nonsense." I only felt a little sorry for her, just a little. I wrapped my arm around Willow's shoulders, keeping my gaze ahead, deciding to pretend I didn't notice the redness around her eyes. Chapter 10. Back at the wedding room, I began using the excuse of selecting locations for my new stores to leave early and return late. Willow became particularly clingy at night. I was afraid I might die suddenly from lack of sleep. I had no choice but to avoid her. About half a month passed. I was busy in the shop when suddenly, the chat exploded. The comments read, "Finally, the day has come. The male lead and second female lead are finally going to meet alone." I knew the second female lead couldn't possibly still like her first love. She'll only love the male lead. What? I was instantly filled with rage. Even though I married Willow, she still couldn't forget that Makoto. This was an open challenge to me. Without caring about anything else, I immediately took up the stance of catching them in the act. I looked up at the sky and asked, "Where are they?" The chat fell silent for a moment. Then, everyone started discussing. This is crazy. Stay calm. The paper doll can't come to life. I must still be asleep. I'm going back to sleep for a bit. Hey, I won't tell you they're meeting at the bridge in Lakeside Park. Hurry, it's rush hour. So taking the subway might be faster. Someone else commented, "I still want to see the second female lead rise to power. Don't ruin it for the male lead." I ignored all the nonsense. For the first time in my life, I took the subway, just to catch them in the act. Willow better not disappoint me. Otherwise, I arrived angrily at the scene, but they hadn't shown up yet. I could only sit on a bench and wait for another half hour. The chat reminded me to stay hidden. I made an okay gesture and put on a mask and sunglasses. Soon, they arrived at the bridge. Makoto was filled with concern. He said, "I'm sorry, Willow. It's all my fault for being so stubborn, and I've dragged you into this. I know everything you've done was for me." Willow seemed thoughtful. She asked, "Do you really feel sorry for me?" Makoto replied, "Of course." Willow asked, "Then can you do me a favor?" Makoto nodded eagerly. "I owe you so much. I'll do whatever you ask." Willow nodded and said, "My husband has been distant lately. Can you go in front of him again and provoke him a little?" Makoto looked confused. The comments defending him said, "Wait, Willow, what are you doing?" Makoto stayed silent for a long time, only awkwardly laughing. He said, "Willow, I don't understand what you mean." Willow's lips curved into a mild smile, but there was no warmth in her eyes. She said coldly, "If you can't help, then let's change it. I don't want you to interfere with me and my husband anymore." Got it? Makoto panicked. "Willow, I saved your life. How can you say that?" Willow replied, "Didn't you take my grandfather's bribe?" His eyes flashed with panic, and he couldn't say a word. Willow turned and walked away. Makoto yelled after her, "No wonder you gave me advice. You've been in love with George all along. Do you know that Sophia ran away to find me because you guided her?" The comments exploded. "Oh my God, I always thought the second female lead was the victim. I had no idea she was so calculating." "Hey, George, stop playing dead and say something." I pointed at myself and asked, "Are you talking about me?" I thought. Anyone who's willing to invest in me is fine. A little scheming doesn't hurt. As long as I'm not cuckolded, I'm good. I'll just go home and pretend this never happened. Chapter 11. Since she likes me, why did she reject me in the first place? I found one of Willow's friends from her time studying in the UK through her social media account. I tentatively sent a message. "Hello, I'm George. I wanted to ask if you're free to attend my wedding with Willow." It took a while for her to respond. "Is it really you?" Willow finally got what she wanted. Got what she wanted. I kept my composure and continued probing, and she casually spilled everything. She said Willow had memorized my class schedule and would deliberately appear in front of me, trying to be seductive. She continued, "Oh, by the way, I'll let you in on a secret. Willow has a password-protected notebook. I once saw your name written in it, but she quickly snatched it away so no one could see. Hee hee. Consider this secret a wedding gift for you. Just don't tell her I told you." It was mentioned in the last batch of comments that she had a password-protected notebook in her study. I think I've found the key. From the godlike perspective of the comments, I could track Willow's movements in real time. Before she got home, I snuck into her study and successfully found the notebook, the password. Without hesitation, I tried my birthday. With a soft click, it opened instantly. It was too easy. I couldn't help but grin, but when I saw the contents inside, I couldn't smile anymore. Inside, it neatly listed all of my previous dates. It even sharply summarized their characteristics. No wonder I had fallen for Willow in the first place. She had gathered the best traits from all of them. By carefully studying my preferences, she had meticulously crafted herself into my ideal type. The depth of her scheming, this was so thrilling. How did she figure out what I liked? This got me really fired up. As the mechanical prompt welcoming me home sounded, Willow's footsteps were getting closer. When she saw the door open, she stopped in her tracks. Her eyes met mine. I held the notebook and flipped through it, my face expressionless. I asked, "Do you have anything to explain?" Chapter 12. Willow stood frozen in place, her face visibly drained of color, nearly pale. After a long pause, she hoarsely asked, You know everything." I kept a straight face and nodded slightly. Her eyes instantly turned red, and she lowered her head in difficulty. After a deep breath, she slowly spoke. "I just wanted you to notice me," I asked. "Then why didn't you agree when I confessed to you?" She looked up at me, her eyes filled with grievance. "Because you said once you had me, you wouldn't like me anymore." "I didn't want that. I'm sorry." The chat was filled with people who were eager to watch the drama unfold. The comments read, "Oh, here it is, the fight we've all been waiting for. Seems like the first love isn't as great as it seemed. No wonder the second female lead went through all that effort to seduce him." I was speechless. What nonsense. This was pure exaggeration. Just as I was about to refute it, I realized I might have actually said that before. That's because I'd found that my dates had left me somewhat unsatisfied. For example, one beautiful girl used me as a free ATM. Another graceful, intellectual girl was secretly flirting with another man behind my back. And there was a younger, more naive girl who was so immature and temperamental, throwing tantrums every other minute. After several dates, I had lost interest in dating altogether. That's when I agreed to the arranged marriage back home. After all, it was all the same. But I was a person who cared about face. When others asked if I enjoyed my dates, I didn't want to admit that all of them had been so disappointing. So, I casually brushed it off with that line. Who would have thought a casual remark would be taken so seriously? I sighed, just about to explain, but Willow turned in a panic and ran away. I was speechless. The chat thoughtfully commented, "The second female lead is afraid you'll ask for a divorce." Another comment read, "I think I get her thought process now. She wants George to fall in love with her over time, so he won't abandon her." Yet another comment said, "Aren't you going to comfort her?" I was speechless. I didn't do anything wrong. Why should I comfort her? It was her decision to turn this into a riddle. Chapter 13. I couldn't find her anywhere. It seemed like she had made up her mind to avoid me. Fine. I decided to go out and enjoy myself. As soon as I arrived at the bar, she showed up right after me. Willow wordlessly grabbed my arm, stopping me from leaving. I feigned annoyance. "What are you doing?" It seemed like she had made up her mind. She said, "George, whether you want to divorce me or whatever, I'm okay with it, but I'll keep clinging to you until you fall in love with me. I love you, George." I suppressed a smile that was about to rise on my lips. Honestly, I didn't mind her scheming. As long as it wasn't to harm me, it didn't bother me. Knowing it was a form of manipulation, I was still willing to fall for it. This morning, Makoto had sent me a message. "You won. Sophia loves you, and Willow loves you." Now, I handed this message to Willow. Her pouty expression and angry look were simply adorable. I cleared my throat and said, "Do you know why I'm showing you this?" Willow blinked in surprise. She asked, "Why?" I said, "Because Makoto disgusted me again. So tonight, you're not sleeping." In her dazed gaze, I cupped her chin and kissed her. The comments flooded in. Finally convinced myself to accept this couple, and I almost thought it was going to be a bad ending again. User above. You're too slow. I stood in the right ship in 0 seconds. Now this is the married couple energy I know. Are we black screening till morning again? I'll even buy a membership, just let me see it. Chapter 14. We moved from the car to the living room and then to the bedroom. We only stopped when the first light of dawn appeared. I held Willow in my arms and sighed. If you had accepted my confession back then, what would Sophia have to do with it? But you had to make your own decision. How foolish is that? Willow sat there in silence for a long time after hearing my explanation. After a while, she finally realized. I guess that was a bit foolish. The comments rolled in. "Welcome to the documentary, Smartness Backfires." I looked at the comments, couldn't help but smile, but then remembered there was still something important I hadn't asked. I asked, "Willow, when did you start liking me?" She turned her head to look at me, but didn't say anything. I joked, I admit I'm a rich and handsome guy, and many people approach me for my money, but I hope you're not that shallow. Willow laughed. What if the reason I like you is exactly because I'm that shallow? I was speechless. What? She said. Back in high school, my depression was pretty severe. Every day, I'd look out the window, and everything seemed foggy and meaningless, until one day, a boy caught my eye. He was like the only color in the world, capturing my full attention. Back then, he would give out money in class. Whenever someone called him bro or asked him to do something, he'd give money, $200 for homework, $300 for errands, $1,000 for taking care of duties. I knew he was silently helping the poor students in class, without hurting anyone's pride. I was speechless. I remembered now. In high school, I had read a lot of delinquent manga, so, to show off, I chose to win people over by giving out money in all kinds of ways. Who would have thought that even showing off would become the reason someone liked me? Willow continued. At that time, I thought, how could someone be so kind? He was like a light, illuminating my world. So, I wanted to stay with him, find him, and follow him. She snuggled against my chest. Although she said it lightly, no one knew how helpless she had been at that time. My eyes started to burn. I turned my head and spoke in a low voice. I pursued you for 2 months, but you ignored me completely. What was that about? Willow stayed silent for a long time, looking hurt, and finally said, but back then, you didn't even give me a bottle of drink. All right, back then, no one even knew I was pursuing her, because, as I said, I cared about face. If anyone knew that I, George, had been rejected, how embarrassing. I felt a little guilty under her accusations. I said, at that time, I had no experience. She snorted. Fine, now you have experience, right? Try pursuing me again. My silence was deafening. I turned over and said, good night, wife. Sleep early. I can't hear you. She muttered a few words, so I didn't react, and dejectedly replied, good night, husband. Chapter 15. I realized that I had definitely gotten better at chasing someone. I bought a flower shop and sent her a bouquet every day. I bought a restaurant and invited her for dinner after work. I bought a jewelry store and gave her some jewelry for no reason. I bought a furniture store and changed the bed every day. In short, I was making more money. One day, Willow had something to take care of. I decided to stay in the shop and prepare a gift for her. But instead of Willow, I got an unexpected visitor, Sophia. She staggered into the shop, throwing herself into my arms, clutching my arm, and choking with emotion. George, I was wrong. I shouldn't have found a substitute, but it's because I love you so much, and you only treated me as a regular friend. Now the Kim family has cut ties with me, and my parents no longer recognize me as their daughter. I shouldn't have ended up like this. I was supposed to marry you, to be with you happily for the rest of our lives. Give me another chance, please. She stood on tiptoe, trying to kiss me. Makoto stood outside, lost and bitter. With a forced smile, he asked, since you can never forget him, what about me? What am I to you? I slapped Sophia hard, sending her crashing to the ground. I cursed, have some shame. If you really liked me, could you have gone and found a substitute? Have you ever heard of someone who collects antiques but enjoys fake ones? Are you just stupid or do you think I'm a fool? Bottom line, you're pathetic. You can't stand being without a man, and you'd rather make me sick. Don't pretend to be innocent. It's disgusting. The comments came flooding in. I feel like the female lead's words are as unpredictable as the housing market in Beijing, never dropping, only rising. Female lead. Hide. The garbage collector is here. Makoto stood frozen, clearly hearing my words. After a moment, he took out his phone. Sophia got up, still wanting to lunge at me, but before I could act, a slap came from behind. It was Willow. She glared at Sophia, shouting, stay away from my husband. If my husband can't make a move, I certainly can. If you dare cause trouble in my shop again, it won't be just a slap next time. Eventually, as she threw her tantrum, the police arrived, called by Makoto. After Sophia was taken away, we gathered our things to leave. As we passed by Makoto, who was sitting on the curb, lost in thought, I said, Sophia doesn't love anyone. She just enjoys the chase from men. You'd better start thinking about your own life and stop wasting your energy trying to please women. He looked at me with a complicated expression but didn't respond. That was it. If he didn't want to listen, then forget it. Chapter 16. I walked hand in hand with Willow down the street under the night sky. Colorful lights hung on the trees, making the city bright and lively. I asked her in surprise, why don't you want me to drive? She rolled her eyes and replied, don't you want to experience shopping with your date? All right. I guess this is the price I have to pay for chasing you. I've crossed streets, squeezed into subways, and maybe next time, we can try taking the bus. Willow whispered in my ear. Do you want to know when you'll finally win me over? I stopped walking and asked. When? She smiled and said, it will be on the day I get the perfect wedding. I understood what she meant. A smile spread across my face. I said, "No more shopping then." She wrapped her arm around mine and asked, "Why?" I replied, "We're going home to prepare for the wedding." The comments rolled in. "You guys are so happy. Leave me here in the village with the cows. I'll chip in for the wedding gift, put it under my waifu's name." Came in holding a bowl. Left carrying the second female lead and the evil side guy out with it. Well, what I mean is, I really enjoyed it. And now it's my turn to say, cough. In the end, the second female lead and George lived happily ever after without shame. The end. Flowers. I looked up at the sky, smiling, and mouthed, "Thank you for your company. May we meet again someday, everyone."